Welcome to the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks. We're Jim and Joe, lifelong friends, lifelong fans, bringing you fan-driven sports talk the way real fans do. No overpaid experts, no scripted analysis, just honest takes on the games, players, and the big stories shaping sports right now.
And we want you to be a part of it too, folks. Please drop your comments. My goodness, thank you for all the comments after the last show. Bring your questions, your takes. I want you to disagree with us. Don't you, Joe?
No?
Yeah.
No.
But thank you for the new subscribers too. Please hit like, subscribe, join our conversation every week for free right here on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and X, or wherever you listen. And Joseph, there's way too much going on. How are we going to fit it all in?
We're not. We can't. We never do. For those of you who think 30 minutes, 33, 35 minutes, is all we got, we could probably go on for hours literally. So many other things happening. We hardly ever get to like the tennis stuff or, golf stuff. We don't get to anywhere near the baseball stuff. We're not going to do it today either because we could literally go over every team's trades, every Major League Baseball team's trades, and then, grade them out. Yeah. We would literally need about 5 hours. I've got notes pasted everywhere, and I'm not going to read all those. Can't.
Same here.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about first? There's two.
Well, we're going to talk about Major League Baseball in its rightful spot of first, because not only are we getting towards that part of the season where teams that are in need to stay in, teams that are out need to get in, and teams that are kind of iffy need to figure out what they need. The trade deadline has officially passed, and there were some trades. We all know the one, but there were a lot of others, and I think there were some big-time winners and losers. I'm going to start, just so this is the easy part, with the Oakland A's. Smartly did nothing. Period. Yeah. Love it. So that was easy.
And they've had a lot of injuries too recently. Rash injuries, and it's really unfortunate because they were playing some good baseball. I'm glad to see that. I no wonder I didn't see a headline coming across with the A's. Good for them.
Yeah.
Solid nucleus.
To be accurate, they have nobody to really trade. Nobody worth getting anything for. No offense. Number two, I think they did trade two prospects, two triple or double A guys, or one to each. But it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. Let's talk about the Oakland A's and their trade deadline genius. But we'll see. Hopefully everything pans out. But let's talk about some of the big winners and losers. If we got to start with somebody, I'm going to start with really the Orioles. Kind of like what was that, or what is that going on? They won 101 games. Like how long ago was that? Less than 3 years ago, and they looked like that wasn't like a one and done. Their roster looked like, I don't want to use the word dynasty, but that word was actually being used a little bit. The number one overall pick, it's like just crazy. I don't get it.
I'm right there with you. We're talking about Adley Rutschman.
Of course.
He was like, remember when the Dolphins had Bruce Hardy? He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated coming out of high school. This was what Adley Rutschman was the same thing. Catcher, can't miss and everything. But what gets me the most about him going to the Red Sox is that's an interdivision trade.
Yeah, I know. Plus you're only two back. So I don't, I just don't understand why they do it. And anyways, it's just a head scratcher. The Red Sox came out on top of that one, I would say.
Yeah, just swept the Dodgers over the weekend. And the other player that I'm wondering why, 3-time batting champion Luis Arias. Okay, the Giants had him. Kind of looked like it was just a fill in the need deal or whatever. I see that. But this guy's been traded 5 times. He's a 3-time batting champ. All right, his defense is a little suspect, but he has started with the Twins since 23. He's been traded 5 times. The Twins to the Marlins, then to the Padres, then to the Giants, and now he's with the Phillies. I think the Phillies win big on that one. that's a good bat in their lineup. Forget the
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah. No doubt about it. I didn't want to leave the Red Sox lingering out there. I was being a little sarcastic because the Orioles, they're the head scratcher, but they're not the bigger head scratcher in the deal. The bigger head scratcher in the deal is the Red Sox. Listen to what the Red Sox sent. Their number 2 prospect, number 4 prospect, number 5, and number 17. This is not in their system overall. It's a head scratcher on both sides of that coin. I just don't get it. You got the Orioles who, they're not out of it, and you give up arguably the best catcher, certainly in the American League, defensively at least. And then Red Sox give up all that for him. I don't know. It's hard to figure out.
That's a great way to look at it. I like that.
Yep.
And then speaking of the head scratcher of the weekend, Tarik Skubal, the Tigers trading him. And I'm wrong every time I predict something on the Undrafted Armchair QB podcast.
Not true, but go ahead.
I'm not an expert,
No.
But here I am, under oath. There's no way the Tigers are going to trade him. And you said, yeah, they are. Well,
Yeah.
You were right. I was wrong again. So bad that one of our founding fathers, Cousin Fred, made a comment to me. He goes, Jim, let me know what stocks you want to pick so I can pick the exact opposite.
That's funny.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Fred. Well, as your public spokesman, a representative, hopefully not ever a legal representative, but when we used to pick, college football and all that, I thought you did very well most of the time. I think you ended up, with a better record than I did. So not in every time. However, in this one, you were wrong. I was right. I think I even put a percentage on it, like 1,000%. So I was pretty confident. Now, why Detroit do it? Do I think Detroit should have done it? No. Why did LA do it? Well, partly because let's face it, the Dodgers pitching staff was starting to look a little bit scary. I thought. I mean, you got Ohtani, who's shut down at least for a while. Snell, Glasnow, IL. It was like a little bit scary, I think.
Yep, and then they had Robleski, Sasaki.
Yep.
Roki Sasaki's been kind of up and down. It looks like it looks like he's found his splitter, so he's been decent over. But then the Emmett Sheehan, whoa!
Yeah.
Sunday night against the Red Sox, 2.2 innings pitched, hit the showers.
Well, hit the AAA. He's being demoted. And listen, I'm just saying, when you really look at the whole picture, Sasaki, by the way, he kind of remains a little bit of a head scratcher too, because you're not really sure what you're getting when you add all that up. Forget the argument. The system's broken. Forget all that. Yep. The Dodgers needed to get a good pitcher, and they got a good one. All right, no problem.
Yeah, they did. He pitches tonight at Wrigley. We'll see what happens with all that, but they've lost 4 in a row, so that'll make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
Because the response as far as the Dodgers getting Skubal has been unbelievable nationwide.
Well, listen, anytime something happens that kind of points out a problem or a flaw or something that needs fixing, it just brings out some more stuff. But we'll see what happens. I think listen, it was a good win, good trade for the Dodgers, that's for sure. And we'll see what happens with Detroit. Listen, the Cubs. Here's an interesting one for me on the Cubs. Yeah. So they get Clay Holmes.
Yeah.
Who cares? That's great. He's a great pitcher and all that. But here's kind of a funny thing that caught my attention. Clay Holmes, he's a sinker specialist. Okay, that's what he throws. And isn't it ironic that the team that picks him up is like an infield defensive, powerhouse? That's how the Cubs make their living. So you got a sinker baller go into a team that has, one of the highest defensive ranks in the MLB. So I thought it was a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, I like the Clay Holmes, and he's just coming off the injured list, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Looks like he's ready to go. Yeah, okay.
yeah. From everything I know, he's healthy, ready to go. So, and the Cubs are young too, so I think it's good.
Yeah, and the Cubs look solid, man. They're right up there. The
Yep,
Cubs Brewers still looks like it's gonna come down to an August September race for sure.
yep.
And speaking of the Brewers, they go out and they get the big redhead, Dustin May,
Yeah, I love
who's
that guy.
he goes out, he can throw 6 innings like he did the other day, one hitter. Luckily they held on and won the ball game. Their bullpen didn't blow it. The Cardinals. But now he's with
Yeah,
the Brewers. So interesting move by them. And I
yep.
did hear there were a lot of rumors that the Brewers were definitely in the race to try to get Skubal. So
100%. I think the Yankees were too. I think. Listen, we know the top 4, 5, 6 teams that I always say could do it. I mean, everyone could. Hey, everyone has an opportunity to buy a yacht. Well, not everyone can afford it. So, and then I see people throwing around numbers like, "Hey, it was 11 million on rental." Well, you got to add another 11 to that because of the tax and all that crap. So, but listen, the teams that could have done it could have done it. I think the Dodgers did it harder because of their situation with their staff. But hey, listen, how about the Mets? All right, you trade 6 guys and you get 11 good prospects out of it. That was a fire sale, and I think it's going to pay off maybe in a year or two, but it's going to pay off.
yeah, I did see. I have been trying to focus on the back end. What are these clubs getting? I keep thinking about the Padres. They've made some moves too. They got 2 pitchers. One of them
Yep.
just at the nick of the deadline time, Casey Mize from the Tigers, which was surprising. But
Yeah.
they also got Robbie Ray, former Cy Young Award winner. He's had the Tommy John, but he just shut down the Padres over the weekend. And now the Padres said, okay, we like you enough. And they got Robbie Ray as well and Casey Mize. So the Padres are all in. Now we're set. The trade deadline's over. Trades and how teams stockpiled. I see the Marlins stockpiled some talent too. They traded their, I think it's Hicks to the Rays.
Yeah.
Cats. Yeah.
Well,
So,
they're the winners, and we've talked about maybe some losers. I don't know, but the Yankees, they had 3 glaring needs. They only filled one of them with Ramos.
yeah.
Their catching situation's not really good, and here they couldn't get Rushman, couldn't get Hicks. So I don't know, man. The Yankees didn't do much. I would say that maybe they're not a loser, but they definitely didn't do what the Yankees normally do. The Brewers, I agree with everything you say. It's fantastic. Think if the Brewers would have been able to get Skubal, though. You got Skubal and Mizorowski, starting like 4 times in a short series. I mean, that would have
Yeah.
been, talk about unfair.
Most likely you're 2-0. So
I
you
mean,
win a 3 game set
yeah,
series. You're
it's,
already up 2-0 in a 5
yeah,
or something.
you
Yeah.
could be 4-0 in a 7-game series. It's crazy. But hey, Mike Trout, unbelievable. Trout turns 35 this week. It's crazy. But anyways, it's like
And
gets traded to another rebuild situation. It's crazy.
Trout got traded?
Yeah, he finally.
What?
Yeah,
What?
no, he's sitting on the bench again, just sitting on the bench. He didn't he didn't get he they sold 7 players out of 9 prospects. It's crazy, man. But we'll
They
see.
did. Well, I'm glad
No,
you brought
he.
up the
I was being
Angels.
sarcastic. He has a no trade clause, so he just watched his team sell all around him, meaning that they're stuck in another rebuild mode for God knows how long. I think he's sitting there rethinking about his no trade clause. So
I mean, I still think if one day he's going to go to the Phillies because he's right across
I know.
he's from South Jersey in Millville. So
Yep.
I don't get it. I'm glad you brought up the Angels because they traded our podcast. I think we've mentioned them on 3 podcasts with a video and everything. Joe
Yeah.
Adele,
Yeah.
he's no longer an Angel.
I know, and I'm thinking we brought him up so many times. The Angels were like, "Oh yeah, we've got a pretty good player we can sold." He was one of the 7 players the Angels got rid of. 7. And you know what they got for him? 9 prospects.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm bringing up Mike Trout. The poor guy, it's his own fault. He's now sitting in the dugout of a team that's 43-69. And the roster is now it's worse. So, I mean, wow.
Yeah. He'll be turning 40, making his first playoff appearance.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
That's the saddest story in baseball, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I was just not thinking he could be traded. You know, maybe, I guess he's in control of his no trade clause. He could say, hey, you know, forget I said that. But I was thinking maybe, you know, but no, another year's come. It's like missing the Hall of Fame. Not that he's missing the Hall of Fame, but, you know, man, maybe next year.
You got me again. I thought they traded him. Good job.
Yeah. Well, listen, he was hopeful, you know, but so there's probably a gazillion other trades and individual players we could talk about. But one thing's for sure, we're going to be watching because now baseball's going to get into that. You know, it's going to get into that August time period where teams start picking it up a notch if they need to. So I'm going to look forward to it. And
the extra fun of watching the wild cards.
Yeah.
It has 100%. Gotten better through the years. I love it.
Yeah, especially with the one and done games. You know, please, you know that was so frustrating. And Oakland, back when they were okay, was always in a one and done with the Yankees on the road. Yeah. You know, one game after playing 162, you get one game on the road like crazy.
Or the Twins.
Yeah, or the Twins. Right. Yeah, Kirby Puckett. Thank you. No, I don't have any Kirby Puckett pictures around here. That's weird. Yeah, well, speaking of Puckett, right? Hey, listen, today is a very special day in our lives, in a lot of people's lives across, you know, maybe the world, but certainly in this country, because today, what started today in college football?
Practice.
Fall camp, the real practice. Pads, like the real thing. Yes.
Insert Allen Iverson. Practice?
Practice. I can't be happier because I've always been happy. Every year I'm happy. But as a Miami Hurricane, you know, I'm happier than I've been in a long time because I think we've finally turned the corner. I don't want this to be about one team because it's all college football. But yeah, I am ready to go. I can't wait.
You should be. Every time I look at my phone and look up college football, Hurricanes sign another 5-star. It's like, whoa, do they have the most 5 stars now?
No, they're one behind. They have 5. They're one behind Texas A&M, who has 6, if I'm not mistaken, at last count. But
they're slacking.
Yeah, I know, right?
Together.
But hey, listen, these are composite 5 stars. So there's 2 kinds. If you add up 5 stars like at 24/7, but not and Rivals or not ESP, you know what I mean? So you've got these 3 or 4 services. These are all services agree these are 5 stars, which, you know, makes them, I think there's only 37 in the whole country that are composite 5 stars. And we have 5 of 37. So quick math tells me that's, you know, doing pretty good. But yeah, with Amir Sears shining out of Columbus, my high school, by the way. Dante Wright, Jaden Bryant, Israel Abrams from Illinois, by the way, and Nick Lanier. But 2 of those guys are homegrown. Those are the ones we used to lose. Thank you, Jeremiah Smith. And then don't forget, we're still in the hunt, even though he's committed to Ohio State. DJ Jacobs. I think we can flip him, which we've done a couple times in the past with Scott and even Mark Fletcher, who were committed to Ohio State. So we'll see what happens. But across the board, man, hope is eternal for a lot of teams this year.
Yep. And I do remember what just flashed in my memory is Howard Schnellenberger calling it the state of Miami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those are rich, fertile recruiting grounds.
Yep. And in the old days, Butch Davis days as well, you know, obviously you had to get in your Delta 88 and drive on down there if you wanted to go see fill in the blank. Well, nowadays, you know, people were raiding South Florida, Alabama, famously, Ohio State. Everybody is down in South Florida. Just like, you know, you got to be out in Texas, you got to be in California, and you have to be, you know, other places as well. I like our chances. Hey, of course, Florida State, Florida, 100%.
Smith, Dalvin Cook, lots of players.
Yep. By the way, we'll move on, but in Miami just did a very cool thing. They just signed or extended Mario's contract to a longer term contract. He was already there, I think, 8 years or 10-year deal. He's only been there 4. So he's going to, they're private college. If people don't know that, they're a 13,000 private school. So they don't have to divulge some of these things. But, for wherever the money is, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be the time. And one thing I love about this situation is when you have a coach who's obviously been there, done that, and good, and they have no interest in going to the NFL. They are at their destination job, like a Bobby Bowden. That is a great feeling to just not even have to kind of worry or think about that. So I like that.
Yep. Good for Mario.
Good for Mario. He's earned it. College football. So before fall camp started today, there were some major things going on. We meant to talk about this a couple shows ago, but tell me if you know about the rule changes. What I think there's like a couple of really, good rule changes that happened.
And I think I'll start with the offensive pass interference. They have changed it that it's no longer 15 yards. It's only 10 yards now. You and I briefly spoke about it. We didn't fit it in on our podcast, but there's still a lot of subjectivity to that. But at least it's better than the NFL.
I can't stand the fact, even if that didn't exist in college, even if it was the same, I can't stand the fact that I can come in and late hit the quarterback, in the back with an elbow to the back of the head. Maybe I'll get ejected, but it's a 15-yard penalty. But yet if I tug your shirt, which had nothing to do with the ball being slightly overthrown, you weren't going to catch it, whatever, a 72-year-old referee, sorry, I'm not throwing age out there, but a referee who's running down the sideline throws a flag and it's a 48-yard penalty. That disparity to me will never, ever mesh. That, I can, do this and do that. It's 15-yard, which is the worst penalty there is. No, it's not. A subjective pass interference call, I might have grabbed your arm, is a 48-yard penalty. That's BS to me. I love the college rule. Forget the offensive side. But listen, if I'm going to get beat, I can tackle you. It's a 15-yard penalty, which is the worst penalty, right?
Right. And
people could argue, well, you can prevent a 42-yard pass, and you should get the ball there. Well, no, you shouldn't. It should be a penalty, not, a game breaker.
Right. Yeah, I love it. And then the other rule, targeting. If they are guilty of targeting, first offense, they do not have to sit out the first half of the next ball game.
Correct.
Second offense, they do have to sit out the first half of the next ball game. Third offense, they have to sit out the next game entirely. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't like the subjectivity of targeting either. Only because I was watching it intently in the Ole Miss game, Miami Ole Miss in the playoffs last year. Miami's DB got called for targeting. Look at it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Wasn't crown of the helmet. He came in, helmet to the side, player's helmet kind of hit here on the shoulder. Targeting, brutal call because he had to miss the first half of the Indiana National Championship game because this rule wasn't in place. Andrew Toney got helmet to helmet, not even shoulder. It was helmet to helmet from the side. No targeting call. Again, it's subjective. Every Ole Miss fan goes, of course it wasn't. Every Miami fan's like, what? The fact that is that brutal of a consequence is on a subjective call is just tough. And so I think, I'm not saying they got it right, but it's an improvement. You shouldn't have to miss the next game or half of it because, of a mistake or a tough call kind of thing. Now, I hate the ones that are brutal. The helmet to helmet, intentional, that's the other thing. Receivers duck, running backs duck, and you could bring your helmet into play where originally you were going to get hit maybe in the chest, right? But when you see the brutal ones that are defensive player, leaving your feet, spearing them with the top of your head, I think that player should be ejected and miss a game or two after review. Let the conference or the NCAA, well, maybe not the NCAA, the conference review it, get some non-biased people in there to review it because that to me is a deadly event, a very serious event. These ticky-tack ones, or did he duck his head and all that, maybe that's the answer. Have a review board. Called if it's called on the field, 15-yard penalty. That's that's another thing. Half the time targeting. Oh, it's not targeting, and the penalty goes away too. Well, I don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah, I don't like it either. There's way too much subjectivity.
Yeah,
But you know what? It's still there. Just hope they get it right when they make the call. You know.
right. Well, especially when it's protecting the players, they need to really enforce it for the real targeting. Remember, but one more thing about pass interference. I remember in the old days, it was like face mask. Was it a 5 yard or a 15-yard face mask? Remember those days? Now they're all
Yes.
15 yards. Face mask, one finger, little slight tug, 15 yards. There used to be a 5 and a 15. Well, I thought, am I wrong? But in pass interference, there was it was a 5 or 10 yard penalty versus 44 yards, depending on how long the ball was. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but maybe that would be another option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was it an egregious tackle before the ball got there? Okay, maybe that's a spot foul versus a 10-yard penalty or 15-yard pass interference penalty because it was, I don't know. Don't have the answer.
Yeah, I do. I do remember the face mask. Wasn't it inadvertent face mask?
Yeah,
It'd be a 5 yard penalty, but if you grabbed it, then it was a 15.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
100%.
so once again, subjectivity creeps up.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
we'll talk until the end of time about
uh,
referees'
oh,
subjectivity,
well,
which
don't even
is
go
which is
there.
fun. Which
Yeah,
is fun.
and we play. Listen, I don't think anyone's going to argue, but we play in the worst conference for refereeing. The ACC refs are horrible. They're terrible, and forget biasness. They stink across the board.
They're worse than horrible.
They are terrible, man. It's horrible. Every time Miami plays, I look at who the crew is. I really do, like in advance. That might even affect what I might wager if I did. Hey, but real quick, there's two other rule changes that were off the field rules. This fifth year of eligibility,
Yeah.
this is a big deal. Of some federal judge in Colorado, rules that okay, they're now going to have all these red shirt and medical waivers and all this stuff that's been going on forever. They said, you know what, the NCAA, and I don't think this is a bad thing. Just get rid of all that stuff. People playing for 9 years because they were hurt, unfortunately. Let's just clean all it up. COVID's gone, the fifth year for COVID. Let's just give everyone 5 years. If you're hurt for a year, good. There's your red shirt, but we're not going to call it that anymore. Just straight 5 years. I think that's a great thing. Except the firestorm started when a federal judge in Colorado, and I don't know who presented the case to him, said, wait a minute, that sounds great, but if you're going to grandfather people in, well, what about the people that go back to 2022? For these people that got a red shirt, they're having their fifth year here. You have to include people that came into college in 2022. Well, okay, no big deal. Well, it is a big deal because if you did 4 and done, you're out of college now. You're out of eligibility if you didn't ever take a red shirt or didn't have a medical waiver for a year. Well, all those players that, they might be on an NFL practice squad. They might not have gotten, drafted. They might WNBA, NBA, basketball players. They all can come back now, theoretically, and say, hey, wait, I still have another year. And this judge didn't think through it of all the details. They didn't think like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't include, how the NCAA handles this. So it's kind of a mess right now.
And they can't join the roster if the roster's full. Okay.
I mean,
So,
I don't know.
and I think there's another stipulation if they were 20 years old at the start of the 5 year window, they're not eligible. And the last thing I read that stood out to me is they can transfer to a different program only if they were in the portal. Yeah. Thanks, Judge in Colorado.
Well, yeah, because it's what's crazy is there is no transfer portal anymore, like twice or 3 times a year. You only got one. So how do how does a player just come back to school? Can they just? The judge didn't think through of all those kind of rules. I guess it's a very strange situation.
Yeah. My only thought is okay, take all those players and just try to build a couple teams for those schools that go to play the big boys in the SEC and the Big Ten just for a payout, a payday. Let them all join those schools. There we go. Brendan Sorsby. He's got his eligibility again.
Yeah.
Runs out the quarterback for Western Carolina as they take on Ohio State. You know,
Well, no.
so
Listen, there's legitimate players out there. And by the way, one of the first players to openly, say, "Hey, I'm definitely open to suiting back," is Castellanos. And listen,
no,
I know. Well, look at former Pitt running back, Desmond Reed. There's
yeah,
not a lot of players who are really good that do 4 years. They're three and out, and the ones that do four and leave, that didn't have any red shirt, never had a medical, never had an injury where you missed a year. You know what I mean? It's a very specific type of player. And please don't think I'm saying this because it was a woman or a female, but the judge was Charlotte Sweeney. Okay, um, no consideration of restitution, roster limits, and any kind of things like that. So it cracked the door open for a bunch of players to potentially come back. And by the way, we're talking football. Think of basketball.
got
Just
to, yep,
quadruple that number. It's insane. And then one other thing, real quick. Another thing, the Big Ten and the SEC were completely against the Save Protect College Football Sports Act because it limited, it addressed things like athletes' compensation. It cleaned up NIL a little bit. You had to actually prove for real this time that your name, image, and likeness was actually being used for income purposes and all that kind of stuff. But they were totally against it because don't forget there was a $21.3 million cap on what schools could spend, and then there was no rule saying it couldn't come from elsewhere, like these collectives and all that. So the Big Ten and SEC said, no way, we're not doing it. Well, at the last minute, they upped that number. Okay, now you get $48.8 million as a school to pay for your players. And suddenly the SEC and Big Ten are all for it. So, I mean, even Trump was involved late on Thursday to help kind of push this over the limit. So basically, they weren't against saving college sports, really. They were really against saving it at 25 million, but at 48, they're okay. Now they're like, college patriots. But hey, whatever.
I know.
That needs to be fixed too.
There's so many things, and we'll bring more up about that targeting because that really does need to be fixed. And one last comment from cousin Fred was with all of this going on with the politics involved around college sports and this judge decision. I love this comment. Wake me up on game day.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
It's like, okay, but practice is back on. College football is back. Pennant races are in full gear. The best time of year is coming up, brother.
I 100% agree, and we will absolutely be bringing those things up. And yeah, let's pin the more on college football because the
Yeah,
rule changes and all that aside. There's still a lot going on too. And
yeah.
quick shout out to Michael Thorbjornsen. Hey,
Lord, yeah.
24 years old, just won the Rocket Classic, first title. It was awesome. It was a good comeback. But what I loved about him, and I'm going to probably bring this up again, is he uses the baseball grip. No interlock, no overwrap, just the baseball grip. Any coach out there that's playing golf will break you of that right away. Well, maybe there's hope for baseball players now.
I love it. Now I'm a big fan of his.
I know.
I can't pronounce his name.
I'm going to practice his name. That's not fair to him, by the way. That's my lack of research or practice. But hey, listen, we'll do that next time because that's it for this episode of the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks with Jim and Joe. Thanks for checking us out and hanging with us for some real fan-driven sports talk.
Thanks for commenting, everybody. Again, keep them coming. We'll read them and feature them in the future episodes. Be sure to like, subscribe, and catch us every week right here for free on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Thanks for joining us, folks.
See you soon. Go Canes. See you.